Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom SP3. This is another edition, our exclusive interview for Tru Heels BTR, Between the Ropes. This time, we are with someone you might have seen on your television screens before on MLW, or you might have seen her on a commercial for the WWE Network as they are about to do a major documentary on her father. She is the daughter of the British Bulldog, Georgia Smith. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, this is going to be one of my last wrestling interviews, so I'm so glad we made this happen. I'm so
Yeah.
happy.
I'm very excited to chat with you. You're one of the interviews I've been wanting to do for a while. But before we get into that, this is for you guys watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this. Share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family. Of course, there is the iCard. You could push on that to subscribe and the bell to press all for all notifications so you always get updated whenever we drop a new video right here on True Hill Heat. So, Georgia, you are a busy woman because it is WrestleMania season. You have a lot going on. Your father is a 2020-2021 Hall of
Mm-hmm.
Fame inductee for the
Mm-hmm.
WWE Hall of Fame. How does it feel that you're just a couple of weeks away from finally getting this done after pretty much a year wait?
I'm so excited, but at the same time, it's like I'm not trying to make this about me, but I was in so much better shape last year. So I'm like, oh boy, it's crunch time. Get ready for it. That's kind of like my anxiety right now. But yeah, it's crazy. I'm so excited. It's been over a year. I've been waiting for this to happen. And I feel like until it actually happens, that's when the reality will set in. Because right now I'm still kind of like, I can't believe it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, you're kind of in the disbelief stage of it all still. So how did you pretty much find out about your dad being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame last year?
So, well, I remember they had inducted, it was Batista and NWO. That was November, December, right? And
Yeah.
then it was getting into January, February. And in my experience with Hall of Fame inductees, they usually give them the heads up. WWE kind of lets them know October, November-ish. So they can make plans and, tell their family and all that. So we're getting into Valentine's Day, and I hadn't heard anything. Last year WrestleMania was April 2nd or 4th or something.
I
So
believe
I was
so.
yeah. And I was it's getting pretty close to that. And I thought if we had known anything about it, it would have been happening now. And I was kind of discouraged and disappointed because I was we live in Tampa. My dad lived in Tampa. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And I talked to WWE about it the previous WrestleMania. That it kind of came up, and they just said, you never know what might happen, but Davey has come up in conversation, and they didn't say confirm anything. They were just you don't know, maybe it could happen. Don't count on it type of thing. So I was like, okay. And then we was getting to February, getting into March, and I was I felt not good about it. And I was I kind of was maybe I'll just go to England for a trip during WrestleMania or go to Canada. This was all before COVID. And I was because I don't really want to be here with the WrestleMania festivities if my dad's not a part of it.
Yeah.
And then I was doing my taxes at H&R Block, and I get a text from my brother, and he says, "What kind of champagne do you want?" He said, "I've got something to tell you." And I was like, "Oh, wow, really?" And he had told me via text that he was signing with AEW and for me to come home because he wanted to call my mom about it. I was okay. And I thought, that's weird, because he was with MLW. I was
Yeah.
okay, well, that's exciting. It's a new thing. All right, cool. And I come home, and he's still playing up that he's with AEW, and he gets my mom on the phone, on speakerphone. He said, "I've got something to tell you. I'm going to AEW." And she was like, "Oh, wow. Okay." We're kind of all right, cool. And then he's like, "No, I'm just joking. Davey's going into the Hall of Fame." And I was like, "What?" And I was really thrown off, and I was like, "So are you going to AEW?" He's like, "No." I said, "So why did you say that to me?" He's like, "I gave you the false finish so you'd come home and, we'd all say it together, be together for it." He said, "I couldn't just tell you and not her at the same time." He said, "I wanted us to all be together." And I'm like, "Huh?" And he said, "And if I told you that, I knew you'd come back here, you'd come home." And I was like, "All right." Wow. Okay. And I was I'm just completely shocked. I'm like, is this for real? he's actually going in the Hall of Fame, like after years and years and years. And he's like, yeah. I said, how long have you known about this? He said, they told me last week. And he said, they told me I could tell you, but I couldn't tell anybody else. And I was like, all right. He said, so I'm going to go on the bump tomorrow, and I'm going to announce it on there. And I was like, wow, oh my God. So I was all excited to watch it on the bump. And my Davey chalk line jacket. Went to Dunkin' Donuts, love Dunkin' Donuts, got my blueberry coffee. It was like 10 in the morning. I'm watching it. And nothing. There was no announcement. It was like some Valentine's Day episode. And it was like Natty, TJ, Harry, like recapping all like the Hart Dynasty moments. And I'm like, this is painful. Come on, like, let's get to the announcement. I was so excited. And then I texted him after. I said, where was the announcement? And he was like, oh, they want to wait. But there was some issues. It wasn't WWE's issues, but it was a former company Harry was with. And they had some issue with Harry being on WWE TV. So they couldn't, Harry, which I wasn't happy with, because it's like, at the end of the day, that's our dad.
Yeah.
It's like, Harry might be with you, but that's our dad. And like, that's my dad. So, and my dad's got nothing to do with you. Whatever. So Harry did it on the Corey Graves podcast. He went straight from the Bump Studios to Corey Graves. And then he talked about it on there. And Harry was like, yeah, they're going to announce it like March 12th. Yeah, that's when they're going to put the episode out. So I had to be quiet about it from Valentine's Day up until March 12th. And I was getting tweets, Instagram, everything, social media, texts. And I only had told the person I was dating at the time, obviously my mom knew, a couple of my cousins, and like my coworker who was like my best friend, who's a wrestling fan. And, because they were always hoping this would happen. And that's all I told, because I did not want this to be ruined or like jinx it or anything. It meant so much to me that, this went smoothly with no problems. So the day, I remember I was going to Las Vegas that morning, the March 12th, and it was like 4 a.m, and I heard Corey Graves' podcast, and I'm like, I can announce it now! Woohoo! And I announced it. I went on my flight. I arrived. Everything was really good. I got like my phone exploded. It was a really good day. And then, what happened on March 12th in the world? Everything got shut down. Yeah. So, I remember on Twitter, the mayor here, Jane Capster, was saying, like, yes, we will continue with WrestleMania. Yes, it will still happen. And I was talking to some of my cousins about it who are in the company, and they were like, I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm like, well, it looks like it's going to happen. And then it didn't, which was disappointing. But, that was just the way it was. We had to accept the deal. So, it was just kind of one of those things where I'm like, oh, so close yet so far. But I think that leading up to it now, it's making the whole induction even more special, because people are really, really anticipating it. You've seen his social media and his brand, and just Bulldog, he's been more spoken about now than he has been the past like nearly 20 years. Yeah. And he's getting more and more popular. And, a lot of people say that, like, your dad is one of the most talked about legends right now. And I'm just happy that that's happened. And, he's got his documentary coming out. He's got all these things that are happening. So I think now it's making it more special. Whereas last year, if it had happened, it would have been like, boom, boom, done.
Yeah, it would have been like any other year pretty much, but now it's like the longest build-up that we've ever had to a Hall of Fame, and it's well deserving for your dad, because I'm a huge fan of your dad. I grew up during like the early 90s and then into the Attitude Era, which he was such an important part of. So I know, like many of the fans, I'm very much looking forward to him actually being inducted. But how did you find out about this year? Because I know there must have been like a question in your head that, are they gonna have a whole new class? What are they gonna do with like your dad's induction class?
I knew that they were gonna continue with it. Like, they couldn't just not do it, because that wouldn't have been fair. And I think a lot of the inductees would not have been happy about it. It wouldn't have gone over too well, I don't think. So it was gonna happen. But, I remember when I was talking to my liaison with WWE about it back, after WrestleMania last year, they had told me, like, obviously it's not going to happen now, but, the next big event where we can have an audience, it's going to happen. And we were hoping for SummerSlam, which would have been really appropriate, or any, and obviously there hasn't been any audience allowed. And, it was just kind of one of those things. And now we're at the time where WrestleMania is like literally right around the corner. So, people have been asking me, like, what's going on, what's the date for it. I don't even know. So I'm just waiting to find out and kind of go from there. But I hope I can get told soon because, I mean, but luckily it's in Tampa, so I don't have to go very far. I'm very fortunate with that. The only thing that, like, I'm disappointed that there will probably be no fans attending, which, my dad deserves an audience. And, my dad's family in England, they can't fly out for it. So that's like another, but, this is going to be, it's going to be completely different from any other Hall of Fame. And, I think Davey being an inductee this year as well, it's going to make history. Like he's getting inducted in COVID. Like, I mean, COVID's kind of like finishing off, but this is going to be different from any other Hall of Fame. And it's crazy because Davey's like a 2020 and a 2021 Hall of Famer. I'm like, he's just, nothing is simple or straightforward. It's always just a bit crazy, a bit different in my world. So, yeah.
Yeah, and eventually they're gonna put in the Heart Foundation so he could get in. You could say he got in a third time because he's 2020, 2021, and then whatever year they put in the Heart Foundation. You could say he's a three-timer, first ever three-timer. So, what is your talking about his career and how important he is to over in the the UK being the legend that he is? What is your fondest memory of your dad's career?
Probably this I say this in like everything, but his SummerSlam '92 interview, or I was gonna say interview. What am I talking about? His SummerSlam '92 match was the best. Just the whole lead up, the story, the match, just that whole golden era, that nostalgia, and each year that match it just seems to become more and more a classic as time goes by. Yeah. And I've said this before, but I had watched that match with my dad like in February 2002. We were just it was just on or whatever, and we were watching it, and that then it wasn't talked about. I mean, it was still quite popular and it was a classic, but it's not talked about. It's like how it is now. So, I mean, it's just evident that, Brett and Davey made that match for what it was. And I feel like that was my dad's moment. And, it was just, it's never been done before. It's never been done again. They made history and, they outsold it in like 10 hours, I think it was. And it was over 80,000 people. I was there for it live.
Nice.
So I'm very fortunate. I do remember it. Yeah, I'm going to go with that was my favorite moment of my dad's. And then, going into like the late 90s when he returned, I was obviously like older and, I saw my dad, how he trained and was getting back into wrestling and getting back on TV and his whole journey of that. And, I didn't really get to spend that much time with my dad because he was always traveling. And then when he got injured, unfortunately, and when he was rehabilitating and getting stronger and going to the gym every day, and I was, out of school for the summer, I got to spend a lot of time with my dad. And then I felt like when he was back on TV and back doing that, people, I don't like the jeans, but that it was a different look. It was the Attitude Era look, and they wanted to do something different, make Davey look like a badass, and so that was really special to me as a preteen or a teenager, seeing all that, and I was really, really proud of my dad, and he never gave up, never took no for an answer, didn't have that victim mentality. Didn't quit, and he had, the loss of Owen right before that. And then his mom died in that February of 99, and his sister died November of 98. So it was like back to back, and he had gotten fired from WCW. He had broken his back, and he developed the drug addiction from that horrific injury, which shouldn't have happened. But, my dad was just like, all right, well, like, I'm not going to sit and dwell about it. And so seeing him go back and do all of that, that was very admirable, and I give him a lot of credit, and I was really proud of him.
Yeah, and having to kind of see him, and you're kind of at that age where you kind of can absorb it more and kind of realize what's going on. What was like the biggest thing that you saw, like a change in your dad during that period? Overcoming the addiction and then getting back to the WWE.
Yeah. I try to have that mentality, like when I feel low or when I feel like it's just like, I'm like, well, what would Davey do? And he would always get up early, always go to the gym, always, he was like me. Maybe we didn't eat the best, but I, he was inspiring, and I wish there was more people like that. And he instilled that Rocky mentality in me, and I try to have that. I try to. But what was like the biggest thing? Probably him just getting up and not quitting, and just was consistent, and just every day always doing something. And my dad always was wanting to better himself. And after wrestling, he wanted to get into film. He wanted to have a wrestling school. He wanted to have a gym. He was always on to the next thing. And obviously my mom, she really helped him in his career. The braids, that was her idea.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, they were like a good team. And I running my dad's stuff now, it's crazy. It's like I have like a whole new relationship with him, because I'm looking at his stuff as like a brand as well, and a business. And I'm learning new things about my dad, and as you've probably seen on his social media, I'm discovering new things all the time. And it's kind of like a therapeutic gift for me to be able to run this. And it's not like it's a fan running it, it's me. Yeah. And I'm glad that like WWE, and I mean, I wasn't expecting anything out of it, but people have taken notice, and I think they see how much love I have and had for him. And I'm very family oriented, and I just want people to see that the man I knew, the father I had, and what an amazing person he was. And yeah, so I hope with what I'm putting out there, you guys get a glimpse of who he was.
Absolutely. And you have to say you've been doing a great job with the social media. I know you have a bunch of merch on Wrestling Trader, so if you could talk about that a little bit, and what made you like come to this decision to kind of make it like a brand and start running it on social media the way you've been doing it.
Well, it was in January of 2019. I had some not so good stuff going on in my life. It's just kind of like just things weren't going good. We've all been there. And I was like, well, and I wanted like a distraction. And I don't know, I follow Bruce Lee's page, and I noticed that Shannon Lee, she runs all of his stuff. And I thought, like, that's really cool how she's, always putting content out there and telling different facts. And I felt like there was no real platform of my dad's. So I was like, hey, I said to my coworker I was telling you about, I was thinking about maybe like doing a page or something. And he's like, that's cool. And that day at the office, when I was in his office, I just made it, and I told people to follow it. And from there, it was growing and growing. And, I made a checklist from there of like how many followers I wanted. I got him verified. I wanted the chalk line jackets. I wanted him in the Hall of Fame. And I wanted a DVD or documentary for him. And I wanted a Funko Pop made for him. So I mean, and I still have that screenshot from August 2019, that list. But, every day I was consistent with it. Every day I posted something, and it's just so cool being able to wake up and share something of his. And it not only makes me happy, but it makes his fans happy. And it doesn't cost me anything. It doesn't cost them anything. And we're all sharing things about him, and it's all for him. And, that kind of happened, and people from WWE had asked me about it, and then it kind of took attention where people, like different conventions, were like, oh, we would love for you to bring your dad's stuff. We've seen you post things. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. Like I'd love to do that. Get and share it with people. And I don't really have a whole lot of my dad's gear, but I mean, what I've got, I'm happy to share it. And that's what I was supposed to do at the Fan Access last year with WWE, but I know it didn't happen. But I'm still down to do something like that again. And I have his vest, his Heart Foundation vest, and people can try it on and take pictures with it. And I mean, I'm down. So that kind of happened, and just the brand and everything just kept growing. And then I got furloughed from my job, and we were all pretty depressed, and I was like, well, what could I do that's inside? What could I do? And I just kind of thought, like, you can only do so much on Instagram. And I was like, I'd love to take my dad's stuff to the next level, like get him some more merchandise, or get I don't know. I just kind of had some ideas and some visions in my head, and I was like, I don't really know how to go about it though. And with COVID, and luckily, Wrestle merch, which unfortunately I'm wearing a WWE shirt right now, but in almost every podcast I'm wearing a Wrestle merchandise, and they said to me, we want to open up, a store, and we've been going back and forth about it when I was in England, and it didn't happen for whatever reason, but COVID. It happened, luckily. But they were like, yeah, we want Davey to be the first store for it, the first legend. I was like, okay. And we went back and forth with ideas, and, they made hoodies, and that's all I wanted. I wanted hoodies and cups, and they do towels. They are doing fanny packs now. They do all sorts, and they do the replica, the British Bulldog Foundation vest, Heart Foundation vest, that's custom made, hand painted. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I actually want to take my dad's one to get touched up with them. But yeah, and I think those would be really big hits at conventions, and it just kind of took off from there. And then other companies reached out to me, and it just kind of it just went to another level. And now my dad is signed with an agency. And again, and there was companies that I approached, and they said, nope. And now they're messaging me. Now they're contacting me. Now I have the agency. Oh, this company. I'm like, oh, that's crazy, because, last year they weren't interested. But, and it's also because I care about this so much. And I think people see that. And that's why I think it's become successful, is because I care. So, yeah, I mean, it's taken off, and I'm just very grateful for that. And, and somebody pointed out to me, they're like, when I come into your house, or when I see what you've done, they're like, it just shows you that you want that person around all the time. You want your dad around you all the time. It just shows you how much you miss him, and how much, you want him around. And I'm like, yeah, it's true. And I didn't ever think of it like that, but yeah.
You get that bond to him doing all of this, and it's getting you closer. And a lot of your work, you can be accredited to the fact that you got the fan support behind you, which led to the Hall of Fame induction. So you can definitely take a little bit of credit for that, for sure.
Thank you. Thank you. If anything I did helped or expedited this, I'm just like, great. I'm so grateful for that. And yeah, people think that Harry runs the page. No, it's all me. He's busy doing his other stuff, but I try to include him and my mom, and try to make it a family effort. But I've really developed a business mind with this stuff, and I don't know, it's just crazy how this has all happened, and all through social media. And, social media can be a pretty nasty place, as we all know, but it can really be a great place with great people. And I had, God, I can't remember which wrestler's daughter. It was, beautiful, what wrestler? Adrian Adonis.
Oh,
Adrian Adonis's daughter messaged me, and she was like, how did you get your dad in the Hall of Fame? Can you give me advice? And I'm like, and my mom said to me, she's like, people are coming to you. And I'm like, I don't have a recipe or a rhyme or reason. This was just something that I did, and I didn't expect anything. And I just love and value this, and I care about it. And that's kind of how that happened. But, it just takes, it's not going to happen overnight. But, it's just kind of one thing at a time, and you got to be consistent with it. If you believe in something, it's just like losing weight or getting a job you want, or I don't know, it's just consistent and work. And if you're passionate about it, people will take notice.
Yeah, absolutely. Your hard work got noticed, and it got the fans to notice, which got WWE to notice. But you also have been busy, actually getting into the wrestling world, because I'm someone in the New York area. I've been to Major League Wrestling. I got to see some of your work doing the interviewer, but you also got into the storylines a little bit. How was that whole storyline where you were kind of in the middle between your brother and Alexander Hammerstone in MLW? How was that, first of all, suggested to you, and then how was everything worked out with your role in that storyline?
Yeah, so back February last year, I don't know if you had gone to it, but it was at a show in Philadelphia. It was at the old ECW arena, and MLW, and I can't remember the sports company. I should know it, but they do so bad. I don't remember their name, but they were doing the show there, obviously, and the sports network contacted me, and they were like, "Oh, would you want to like do some interviews?" And I was like, "Okay." And I went there and we did that, and they liked what I did. And then kind of time went by, and I was talking to Court, and we were like, oh, he was like, we've got some ideas. And I was like, oh, that's cool, because I would love to be a part of whatever. And I thought it was just going to be strictly just like microphone stuff. And then they came up with the idea, and I was like, oh my. I was like, okay, like I'm open to it. Like any time that like, I mean, I'm kind of always like anxious and nervous, or like a deer in the headlights when I'm on, when you've got bright lights in your face and cameras. I mean, it doesn't really matter how many times you do it. It's still like, and then when it's live, oh dear. I mean, most of the stuff was pre-taped, but I had fun with it. It was a bit awkward because like Alexander Hammerstone has like a girlfriend, and like I didn't want like, and him and I didn't really know each other, and it was just kind of like we were just kind of like thrown together, and it's like, all right, make this happen. It's like, oh god. This is, and I didn't want to like rub anybody the wrong way, or like I don't know. But he's a really cool guy, and everybody there was really nice, and I'm very grateful that they gave me the opportunity to do that, and I had fun with it, and it's just like a little snippet in my life where I'm like, oh yeah, that was fun.
a little moment in your life that you can always look back on, for sure. What are your thoughts on like the current WWE scene, or in general, like wrestling? What's your thoughts on the current industry and how it is like right now compared to when your dad was active?
Oh, completely different. But WWE, they're always changing, they're always evolving, they're always growing. Nothing is ever permanent there. They're changing all the time. And I give them a lot of credit. And I think it's quite admirable for them, because like with this COVID thing, they could have been like, well, we're going to stop this. And, people can say they should have done that, or they should have done this, or what was right, what was wrong. But they're in this situation. They've used what they've got, and they're making it work with no audience. And I think they've done a really, really great job with it. And, they're taking the safety precautions, and everybody's getting tested all the time there. But it's not easy. And, they're so used to traveling and doing big events and now this is what they're dealing with. And they're making it work. And I think they've taken some notes from like the Super Bowl as to what they'll do at WrestleMania. And I think that's really cool. But it's very much different from when my dad was there. I feel like, I don't know, and then this isn't like, I'm not trying to like make a dig or anything, but I feel like maybe it's because it was my dad, but I feel like they were like more men there, like when my dad was in it. Like you got Brett, you got Davey, and it's crazy because like Owen is like a year older than me, was a year older than me when he passed away, but it was like they just seemed like dads and men, and now it just feels like they're all like young. I don't know, does that make sense? Like it all feels like all like, and I'm like, oh my god, they look like super young, and I'm like, am I super old? Or but it just feels like then, but it's like just like with the movies now, it's like you see movies with Mel Gibson back in the past, and you see movies now and like a new person, and it's like, oh, they're playing like the superhero role, they look so young. What? I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it does. It did kind of feel like that, because we go back and watch it on our YouTube channel, like the Monday Night Wars, and like you said, like everyone kind of had that look where they felt like older, they felt like grown man, which it's more of like a young man's game now.
Yes.
Even if you are like an older guy, like say someone like WWE Damian Priest, who just got to the main roster, he's 38 years old. Like, but he doesn't look it. Yeah, he doesn't.
I didn't think he was 38. Wow, that's crazy. I thought he was like early 30s, late 20s. Yeah. See, that's what I feel like is like when I'm watching it now. I'm like, whoa.
It's crazy. It is crazy. But how we like to end a lot of these interviews is, we are Tru Heel Heat. I do the point. You have the WrestleMania shirt, but I point to the sign. We like to talk about heel moments, or heels in professional wrestling history. Now, I always ask this question. I'm going to give you time to think about it. But what
Okay.
is the greatest heel moment you've ever witnessed? It can be from your dad. It could be from times just watching wrestling, not with your dad, or current times. Me, myself, my favorite British Bulldog heel moment is when he turned heel in 1995 on Big Daddy Cool Diesel.
That's a good one.
I wasn't expecting it at all. It shocked me. I remember just being so angry. I was like 8 years old. Like, why would he do this to Diesel? They were supposed to be friends. So what is your favorite or greatest heel moment that you've witnessed?
I mean, there's so many, but that one comes to mind. And also when Davey and Shawn Michaels were in Kuwait and they're like fighting in the water.
Oh, nice. I like that one. Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that one.
Good. That's a good one for sure. Who is the greatest heel you've ever seen? So it could be from times when you were a kid, times now, but who got you the most angry watching as a fan of professional wrestling?
Huh. That's a very good question. Um, Probably Shawn Michaels.
And you know what? I
Actually,
know
like,
I
it just like pissed me off. Yeah, like when he like with that Royal Rumble. So I'm gonna go with him.
I was gonna say my significant other, my girlfriend would say the same thing. That's always
Yeah.
her answer as well, for sure. But all right. So, what is the single greatest heel moment in your particular family? So it could be from your dad, it could be from Brett, it could be from Owen. If you got the archives, it could be from Stu's time wrestling. So the greatest Hart family heel moment in your opinion.
The greatest Hart family moment. Well, I don't know if it's a moment, but probably when the Hart Foundation, like when they would be in the States,
Yes.
like, and they'd be really like, and like they'd get really mouthy, and yeah, it was almost like really funny. Yeah, so I'm gonna go with that whole lump group.
I would say my favorite is the initial time Brett tried to separate Owen and British Bulldog when he gave him the whole speech about
Mm-hmm.
their brothers and they
That's a
need
good
to
one.
come
Yeah,
together. The original Heart Foundation coming together. That's my favorite because Brett was so sentimental, but the people hated it. The people were booing him out the building while Owen and British Bulldog are crying. It's such a great moment. And if you haven't seen it, you should definitely go out of your way to see it for those watching for sure. So,
yes, look at that. Absolutely.
so give you a chance at the end of this interview. Anything that you want to tell the folks about where they can find you on social media? Of course, the WWE Network special that's coming up, and of course, all the merchandise on Wrestle Merch.
Yes. So you can look at my dad's website. It's got his diet, it's got his workout, it's got frequently asked questions. So if you guys have seen this interview and you're like, oh, well, I would like to ask her this, or ask Harry this, or ask Diana this, or I don't know, feel free to ask. Just make sure it's respectful and tasteful. And if it's disrespectful, you're not going to get an answer. But I'm pretty on top of it and very prompt with it. So feel free to ask on there. It's got bios of Harry, my mom, my dad, myself. It's got different interviews Harry and I have done, or just any links that you guys see. So when we're done this interview, you know, when you put it out there, if you send me a link, I'll put it on my dad's site. And he's got a store there, Wrestle Merch. As I mentioned, Wrestle Merch, you know, it's like pro wrestling tees on another level. And if you're in the UK, they are in the UK based there, so you don't have to pay ridiculous shipping fees. You know, like some people order things from Pro Wrestling Tees. It's just the way it is. You know, when you get anything overseas. But it's based in the UK, which I'm very grateful and happy about because that's what my dad would want. And we're always coming up with new designs and new things. And we're trying to come up with a 2021 Hall of Fame shirt. So if anybody has ideas or want to collaborate, feel free to send my dad's email, and which is at British Bulldogs Bookings at gmail.com. You can find him on Instagram at the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith. He's got new content, videos, art, pictures, anything, all Davey there all the time. So feel free to check that out, follow it. And you can follow me at Georgia J. Smith on Instagram. My dad also has Twitter, which is @_Davey Boy Smith. And he also has a Facebook.com, which is Facebook.com / The British Bulldog. He's got a YouTube channel, which has new videos all the time getting added, uploaded on there. Just The British Bulldog. Subscribe, share, like that. And that's about it, really. So yeah, feel free to check all those out and keep up to date with everything. I'm waiting to hear the date for the documentary and for the Hall of Fame. So any news that I have and that I'm able to disclose, it will be on there. And Davey's got a whole lot of new things and things coming up inside WWE and outside. And yeah, he's a legend. The legends don't die, and he's super, super busy. And yeah, thank you guys for your support.
Of course, and you definitely got our support here on Tru Heel Heat. So go out your way, check out all their stuff on social media, especially the British Bulldogs page. I know me, myself, I follow it, and I always like seeing the old school stuff, some of the memorabilia, everything going on. It's such a great page, and Georgia is awesome. Want to thank you for joining us on Tru Heels BTR. So, folks, give this video a thumbs up. Share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, family. Of course, you could push the subscribe button or the iCard to subscribe to the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel. And of course, push the bell to press all for all great content right here on Tru Heel Heat. So, this has been Tru Heels BTR with Georgia Smith. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. We are signing off until next time.
Thank you.